So for this particular build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a display for this Mortal Kombat spawn that I have. I don't play the game Mortal Kombat, so I don't really have any particular plans for this figure. What I thought I would do is do kind of a display for this, a very small one, and put some torches, bracketing this figure as if he is about to enter the gladiatorial arena, which is Mortal Kombat. So we'll put a stone wall behind him with some torches, and that's actually a pretty decent universal display for most of your NECA or McFarlane toys or other Diamond toys, some of your action figures. So we'll give that a shot. So I found this technique over at Black Magic Craft, and I really liked it on how to sculpt these edges. It's basically a plunge cut, and you pop it to the side, and you create this kind of serrated edge. I think it looks really cool. I decided I wanted to do a tile floor for the base of this, and so, like a lot of guys do for tabletop gaming, I'm just doing a 1" by 1" grid. And as always, we want to go ahead and use one of our sculpting tools to make the lines a little bit more pronounced. This was my favorite part of this whole build, was taking my X-Acto knife and sculpting little cracks and tears in the tile, even cutting one of the tiles out like it has, just aged so much. But these cracks really look good, even using the back of the tool to make some kind of dents and cracks. But that was a lot of fun in that sculpt. For the back wall, I wanted to do a curved doorway, so I'm just using one of my curved tools to sort of lay out my lines. And then we're going to go with more of a brick wall look, so just plotting those lines. I want to keep them reasonably straight. It's not important to have it perfect because, this is sort of like old world, old school. I didn't even really map out where these lines would go because it doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, perfect would actually look, that's just not what this calls for, being it is more of a dungeon look. I'm going to go ahead and manufacture a door frame using these pieces here. And for that curved door, we're going to cut a curve out of one of these pieces of XPS foam using the same curve tool so that it'll match my lines on the doorway that I have plotted out. One of the things I want to do really soon, and would make my life so much easier, is to get a hot wire table to make these cuts a little bit more exact. It'd be really nice to be able to do that. Like everyone does, it's a very common practice using a wire brush to scrape in what looks like wood grain. It's a great technique. It works so well, so we're going to do that also on the doorway. I'm laying out wood planks on the door, though I'm not even measuring these out. I want them to be all different sizes because in my mind as whoever built this wasn't able to get precise wood plank dimensions. So like we did with the tile floor, we're going to use our sculpting tool and exaggerate those lines so that it'll take the paint the way that we want it to. And using a tinfoil ball, just add some texture to that brick surface. And then what I did with the tile floor, I want to take my X-Acto knife and just create little scars, little scratches, little edges throughout the brick. I am going to use my straight edge when gluing up these door pieces because I really need them to land where I have them measured out. Now, even though you can see some seams in each of these pieces, I'm going to come back later in a step that I'm not bothering to show and just add a little bit of plaster in between these pieces to make it look a little tighter, make the seams look a little tighter. But I'm only going to add that plaster here on the door frame. The rest of the build doesn't really need it. We'll go ahead and glue the back wall and the bottom together. All right, and now, as we usually do over the phone, we're going to take our 50-50 mix of Mod Podge and black craft paint just to give it a harder surface. And now the first coat of paint, we're going to go with a medium to light gray. You can see the plaster that I've done on the door frame. One thing that I'm not including in this video, because I have a whole other video for it, is adding the torches to the back wall. So if you're interested in that, you can find that on the YouTube channel. I'll link to it in this description as well. Going with a dark brown, just a burnt umber on the door before we hit some highlights on a dry brush. Do a little dry brushing here to hit some highlights. And then we're going to wrap up the paint job with a dark wash. I actually went back over the door again after this dark wash and did this step a couple times. I didn't like how the door had turned out. Too much of a highlight in that. It didn't darken up like I wanted it to. So went back, did another coat of brown, did another coat of highlights, and then another coat of dark wash to get it to where I wanted it to. Now, final view, let's see the torches. Okay, what did we figure out when it comes to a build for this character here? Well, I did like the idea, the simplicity of just building a very small stand, not necessarily a scene per se, but something that sort of sparks the imagination. I think if I were to do it again, as far as figuring it out, I probably would have gone more stone instead of brick. And all that really means, if I go stone, would be to make it, the pattern much bigger, like more substantial. And so I did a brick-sized wall, and I wasn't really pleased with the gray wall and brown door when it comes to this style. Like the brick, I think, should have been a little bit different. But, and if it had been stone where it looked like it was bigger, I think it would have worked well. I did enjoy doing the tile and making the cracks in the tile and making it look like a really messed up tile floor. I thought that was really, really enjoyable. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching this build, and I hope you guys will get to figuring out your own display stands for your figures as well. Remember, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching Figure It Out.